Hi, I'm Serena. I'm from England. This is day 1 of the retreat and day 2 of my dry fasting. I have Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease, like so many people. It's a lot better since I was first diagnosed, but I have other conditions which I'm sure are related to the Lyme. So I have an autoimmune thyroid complaint, which is Hashimoto's. I have the beginnings of arthritis in my hands, although that seems to be better since I did the first 3-day fast in preparation for the retreat. So I'm really hoping that a longer fast will be even more beneficial for that. And I also have food intolerances. So, for example, if I have 2 sips of coffee, I'll probably have a migraine for 2 or 3 days. And even doing the coffee enemas with a very weak, tiny amount of coffee, I was flattened for about 3 days. So obviously my body is out of balance, and so that's why I'm here on the retreat, to really try and have some beneficial effect on those conditions that I have. I'm aware that my age doesn't help, probably. Being over 70, I think maybe I won't heal so quickly as some younger people, but I'm sure it'll still have a good effect. I like so far being here. The location is fantastic. I had a 3-hour walk this morning out in the woods, lots of lovely nature, found a lovely waterfall where I spent a bit of time, and so yeah, I'm very optimistic about the retreat. Okay, so for the Lyme, I've followed the Klinghardt protocol. Dr. Klinghardt is a well-respected expert in Lyme disease. So I don't know exactly can't remember exactly what I've taken, but it was a sort of 2-year process, which has really helped. I take pork glandula for my thyroid, which kind of keeps me on an even keel. I haven't used any Western medicine for, I don't know, about 40 years probably, apart from when I had cataract surgery a couple of years ago, and they gave me drops which were antibiotics and steroids, which I don't think I reacted very well to. I did get a bit of tinnitus, which is not bad, but it did start then. That's not a major problem for me, but maybe it'll go with the dry fast. I don't know. I use a bit of nicotine for it occasionally, and that seems to stop it. I haven't used anything for the arthritis. I haven't seen a doctor. I don't really see doctors. So yeah, so as I say, I haven't really taken any allopathic medicines for a long time, apart from the eye drops. Yeah, so that's probably about me for today. So it's day 2 of the retreat and day 3 of my dry fast. I'm feeling pretty good. I had my first treatment yesterday, which was yeah, really good. A good massage. Like all the best massages, there were times when it was a bit uncomfortable, but not intolerable. And I had the bee sting on my knee. I have to confess to feeling a little sorry for the bee, because I'm one of those people that rescues bees whenever they're trapped somewhere, but it soon passed. So yeah, so that was great. Had a really good night's sleep. I slept in this morning. I skipped the yoga class, which was just as well because I didn't know that the clocks had gone forward. So that worked out well for me. I attempted to go for a walk with my son, who's also here. He was too weak, so I've spent time on the beach. Yeah, we had an interesting lecture about, a lot of it was about putting synthetic things in your body. I have a younger son at home who is, very into fitness and the gym, and he's very worried about me losing muscle, so he says I must take creatine, but that's a bit of a no-no, so I've learnt a lot about that. I intuitively was wondering about it anyway, so my questions have been answered today, which is good. My family at home, apart from him, seem very happy that I'm here, and I'm also very happy that I'm here. Feel well supported. My only frustration as a cold water swimmer in the channel most days, which is grey and brown, the English Channel. I see the lovely blue-green sea here, and it's like I'm addicted to swimming in cold water, and it's like it's even more difficult than not drinking, I think, to resist the lure of the sea. But so far I'm managing, because I know there's reasons that I can't go in. But all in all, yeah, I'm feeling very good and very happy, and looking forward to the next treatments and the next day, see how I get on with day 4. It's day 3 of the retreat, day 4 of my dry fast. This is the furthest I've been with the dry fast, so it's very interesting to see what's happening to me. So my voice is a bit weird, weak maybe, and my right ear is as if I've been on an aeroplane, but it won't pop. So I learnt in the talk today that the kidneys affect the ears, and I'm a bit deaf. I put it down to age and inheritance, but I don't know, maybe it's having some effect. That would be nice. We'll see. So what has mostly happened in the last 24 hours, I suppose, is that my swimming group in England, which has a lot of retired nurses and a couple of working nurses, they were all very worried about me, thought I was crazy coming on this retreat, and how would my kidneys manage, all that stuff. But they seem to have done a 180, and I've been getting some really nice messages from them. They're all rooting for me, wishing me well, looking forward to having me back to dip in the English Channel. And that's really given me a huge boost, because, you know, normally I'd just go ahead and do things anyway if I thought it was the right thing, and damn what other people think. But I realised that it's actually nice to have positivity rather than people being a bit negative. So yeah, it's really meant a lot, because I didn't actually think that they would come around and support me. So that's been really, really nice. And my sister, who's also supportive, but she only just realised that it's all a dry fast. I think she got the impression that we dry fasted for 2 days and then the rest we could drink water. So I guess she's still processing stuff, but I'm sure she'll support me. So that just leaves my recalcitrant younger son, who is a fan of ChatGPT and believes everything it says. So on the evening before I left, he came to dinner, and my other son, who's fasting this week, teased him and said, "So, Ollie, are you still afraid that Mum's going to die?" And he said, "No, but I'm now worried about the after effects." And he wouldn't say any more. So he's obviously been onto the old AI and got the government narrative, if you like. So if you ask ChatGPT something which doesn't quite fit in with the said government narrative, you're not really going to get an honest answer, because the government is tied up with Big Pharma, of course, and Big Pharma doesn't want to see you looking after yourself and getting well and not using their drugs, because then they don't make any money. And they need to give you drugs and more drugs to fight the side effects to stay in business. So he's never going to get an answer from AI which will be honest. So the proof of the pudding will be when I go back really healthy and I continue to be really healthy, which I will, and then maybe he'll come round. In the meantime, I have bought him a copy of Michel Slater's book, Starving to Heal in Siberia, which anybody who's thinking of dry fasting should probably read, because it's incredibly inspiring. And she recovers from sort of end-stage Lyme disease. And she has gone on to have a very healthy life. So I have bought him this book, and I will also, it's been recommended that I get him the audio book that he can have in his car when he's driving to the gym and to the pub and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, day 4, and I think it's going quite well. I don't quite have the energy I had yesterday, but still been out for a walk on the beach, and I'm feeling pretty good. It's day 4 of the retreat and day 5 of my dry fast. I feel quite tired today because I didn't sleep until about after 1 o'clock, which is much too late for me. There were strange noises in the night, like somebody was turning on a tap and turning it off every 5 minutes. And tonight I'll put in earplugs. So I slept in this morning, but I went for a walk for about 2 hours through the pine forest, and it was lovely to sit against a venerable old tree and meditate, but not for long, because I was with my son, who is a mathematician, and he doesn't get meditation, so I only had 5 minutes, but it was good. It was great. Out in nature, the flowers are lovely, sea is sparkling, and it's just really, it's really, really good. I felt a bit nauseous today, so I've been using an ice pack, which I would really recommend. I nearly didn't bring one, but somebody recommended it, and it's really easy. You just put ice cubes in it. Slightly tempting to take one out and stick it in the mouth, but I didn't. But it is a really comfortable one, and it comes from, sadly, my least favourite corporation, which is called Amazon. But they do have them. This is a 6-inch one. It's big enough, and I'd really recommend that. It's very refreshing. So I just wanted to talk a bit about the myths and the misconceptions around dry fasting, the worries that people always have. Funnily enough, my swimming group, they were all clucking around saying, "Oh, but what about your kidneys? What about your kidneys?" And I said, well, my kidneys will be having a rest. You know, they'll be working, but they'll be having a rest, and they'll be fine. And they have come round to things. But I learnt today from Doctor Filonov that swimming in the cold actually is worse for the kidneys than dry fasting. So I'm going to have to carry some bad news back to them, that what they're doing in the winter is maybe swimming for too long in cold water if they want to look after their kidneys. So the tables are turned a little bit on that one. And I also have the chat GPT that my younger son asked for advice to stop his mother doing this very dangerous retreat. So I did see that he first of all put in that I was going to fast for 12 days, which I'm not. But they came back with a lot of stuff, and I'm just going to read a couple of things. So one with a big fire emoji by it, danger, danger. Dry fasting past 72 hours is physiologically incompatible with survival. Okay, because humans cannot survive without water for long because older adults have reduced total body water, thyroid issues, which I have, worsen dehydration, hormonal regulation is weaker, and kidneys are less efficient with age. Well, I have to say that I'm peeing all day long, and not as much as if I was drinking, but I'm still peeing, so my kidneys are still working. Maximum survivable dry fasting is typically, my mouth is very dry, is typically 3 to 5 days in younger, hydrated, healthy individuals. So there we are. Thyroid issues make dehydration more dangerous. And this one has a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark in it. Kidney shutdown becomes likely. There we are. In older adults, they filter less efficiently, etc. Brain shrinkage. Muscle loss. Okay, muscle loss becomes catastrophic. And here, my son, the monkey, has put, she has some body fat, which helps slightly, but at 70 plus, protein breakdown accelerates, muscle is cannibalized quickly, mobility is lost, balance declines. Some of this will never return. And the refeeding syndrome risk is extremely high, but that's for 12 days. So, yeah, I want to talk a bit about this catastrophic muscle loss. So, I've lost quite a lot of weight, obviously. I've lost it from my stomach, which I needed to. I've lost some from my hips, which I definitely needed to. I've lost some from my legs, but the muscles on my legs, which I've got from going to the gym and walking a lot and swimming, not just in the sea, but in the pool as well, proper training. My muscles are really well defined. And my biceps are still there. My biceps, which I've had since I was a competitive swimmer in my teens. My bingo wings are still there, so I'm hoping they might shrink a bit. So my arms are still really strong. My back is still very strong. So it's the fat that's going, it's not the muscles. So I've said before that ChatGPT is like modeling. You put rubbish in and you get rubbish out. And AI is not, it's not a person, it's not human. It's totally artificial, and what goes in comes out. And during COVID and before, we have a very infamous professor at Imperial College in London, which is a famous science university. Professor Neil Ferguson, also known as Dr. Disaster by his colleagues. He did some appalling modelling in COVID. He said that millions and millions of people were going to die in the UK alone. He's also done modelling for foot and mouth, which meant that huge numbers of healthy animals, including one child's pet goat, which was nowhere near foot and mouth, were slaughtered under Tony Blair. And he's done a lot of other appalling modelling. But funnily enough, he still has a job. The government love him because he frightens everybody, and that makes us controllable. And all this modelling, all this AI, you know, they don't want you healthy because pharmaceutical companies depend on people being ill so that they can sell their drugs, and then they can sell more drugs for the side effects. So ChatGPT, I know a lot of people use it to do their homework, a lot of kids at school to do their homework, but it's really not reliable in any way, and certainly not on any health issues. So I am still here, I'm still upright, I'm still walking, I still have my muscles, my kidneys are still working. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a drink, but it's just a dry mouth, and tomorrow's day 6, and I'm on the home straight. So yeah, I'm fine. It's day 5 of the retreat and day 6 of my dry fast. I'm feeling quite tired. My voice is pathetic. I'm still a bit deaf in one ear. I haven't managed to get out for a walk today because it's really windy and it's been raining, so I've really missed that. So I had a fantastic long walk yesterday, and yeah, it's true that getting out, even when you're feeling really tired, really helps a lot. So I'll go out onto the beach later, in spite of the wind. Anyway, today I was just going to talk a bit about the treatments that I've had since I've been here. So anybody thinking that the treatments are going to be, you know, nice soft massages with essential oils and tinkly music, it's not the case. These are real therapeutic treatments. So the first day was organ rearrangement, which was a lot of pushing and pulling around my abdomen, my stomach, and I have to say that all that area felt a lot less congested afterwards. And then I had bee sting on the knee, just to make sure I wasn't allergic to bee stings. Little did I know what was coming next with the bees. So day 2 was a syringe. I thought it would just be an injection of something, but I was quite glad not to have a syringe sort of slid into my back. But instead it stabbed me all over my back. But it wasn't as bad as it sounds, although I was quite happy when it finished. But it wasn't too bad. And then I had a bee sting on my liver. And they fan it like mad and put iodine on, so it's really not painful, although I do tend to react a bit to any kind of insect sting. So they swell up a bit and get really, really itchy. It's the same with mosquitoes and horseflies, anything like that. But it's nothing serious. Day 3 was the back massage. Now I have this lovely therapist. She's very slim. She's got a lovely elfin face with huge eyes, long blonde hair, big blonde fringe, but she has fingers of steel. And so the back massage was unlike a massage I've had before. I found all the worst tight spots, and I've got lots of those. And then she found the most painful spot on my back. I said, okay, I'll put a bee sting on that. Oh, okay. So on went the bee sting, and she found it like crazy and put iodine on it, so it was fine. Then she said, are you ready for the second one? Yes, okay. So I had the second one. But it was fine. It was fine. You get the iodine on it, and it doesn't hurt anymore at all. And so that was a really good back massage, and felt great after that. And the next day I had a choice, neck or legs, and I thought legs would be easier. So I chose the neck. And yeah, she found every single knot going, and stuck in her iron fingers and teased them out, and it was really good. And they said, okay, turn over, bee sting on the liver, okay, bee sting on the liver. And then she said, are you ready for the second one? I said, oh, second one. Okay, yes, I'm ready for the second one. So she left me fanning the first one, and along came the second bee sting. And then she said, are you ready for the third one? And I said, oh, what, 3? Is that the last one? She said, yes, don't worry. So the third bee sting, on it went, lots of fanning and lots of iodine. And she said, have a nice evening. And I said, yeah, I'm sure you'll have a better one. But anyway, that was really good. So, yeah, the treatments are hardcore, but they don't leave you feeling bad. They just leave you feeling, wow, I've got rid of a lot of stress and tension and horrible knots in my neck and my back, and I feel all the better for them. And you know, I don't feel the bee stings, except for the one that swelled up and it's a bit itchy, but otherwise, yeah, they only have a good effect, so worth going through. It's day 6 of the retreat and day 7 of my dry fast. You can hear my voice is pretty croaky, and I've used up all my saliva. Probably by doing a really stupid thing yesterday. I got scammed online. As my son said, if you're going to buy stuff online, don't do it when your brain is at 50%, because that's what it is. It's a bit dried out and shriveled at the moment. So I rang my bank to try and sort it out. And of course, you just get a robot. I'd like to report a scam. Oh, you'd like your bank balance? No, I want to report a scam. Yes, we have your bank balance. At the end, I realized that I had, dried out my mouth for nothing. So anyway, it's a good lesson. Don't buy online when you're fasting. So this morning I woke up. I didn't sleep that much, but it was enough. I woke up, I felt much better, though I couldn't talk. So I went for a walk with my son over to the next village, which was great, through the pine forest, which I really love. It's so healing up there. It's the lovely smell of the pine and the lovely trees, and you know, you can meditate a bit, and it's just really healing. I don't feel particularly emotional about the fast, although I know that usually day 8 and 9 are the kind of really important days where everything's happening in your body and stuff's burning up. So I'm just waiting to see what that's like. It sounds exciting. Anyway, we walked down a very, very steep path. I think my son thought I was going to die as I was hanging onto the trees. And anyway, we got down there, it was lovely. We wandered around, we walked up to the tunnels where you can walk through these tunnels, obviously. And then there's bits you can go out and look over these lovely coves that you just want to jump into the water. And but they are on the far side of the village. And on the way back, Matthew decided he'd go down some steps into one of these coves, and he was leaping about like a goat all over these rocks. And I got halfway down and just sat down and watched him. And he came back up the steps. He said, "Oh, I didn't mean you to come down the steps. It's a bit much for you." So I kind of crawled back up, and then I realized that I had to get back. So it was a very, very slow, challenging journey back. We were out for nearly 5.5 hours, and it was a bit long, but it was lovely. And so I'm sure I'll sleep well tonight, and I might have a rest tomorrow, but it's really good to keep moving. I'm glad I did it. And yeah, now I'm off for my treatment to see what that will bring. Today is day 7 of the retreat and day 8 of my dry, very dry fast, very dry mouth, and my ears are, yeah, like I was already on the plane. But anyway, I woke up this morning at 3:30, so I only had about 4 hours sleep. Not quite enough for me, but I felt very pleasantly warm, which I think is a good thing for day 8. So I grabbed my little hot water bottle, which doesn't have a cover, which was now very cold, and that was lovely. And I found all the cold bits of the bed, and then I put my summer pajamas on, and then I went back to bed with a Russian male voice choir on my MP3 player, of course. It's actually in the room. So at about 8:30, we decided to go out for a walk because it was such a lovely day. Went out with my son, and we were looking for, we thought somewhere different from where we'd already been, some pools and ponds, but it turned out to be the same place. So we didn't actually go very far, only went out for an hour, and then came back and sat on the beach, which was lovely in my summer clothes. So now I'm turning to the future, post-fast, and wondering how it's going to change things for me at home. I think maybe once you get to 72 nearly, one's life is more difficult to change, but I have been on a long journey to try and find out. I probably started really when I was about 30, so 40 years ago. I broke my front teeth when I was 11 and had all sorts of problems with infections. And then when I was 30, I found a dentist who said, "Oh, yeah, we can fix that for you." And so then I was in the dental chair with this consultant, and had all sorts of stuff in my mouth, and one of the students had already fainted, and the guy said, "Right, amalgam, please." And I thought, oh no, he's going to put amalgam right up in my brain, which is exactly what he did. And within a month, I was a full-blown ME, couldn't get out of bed. So my troubles started then, really. I got kind of well enough, and I had my children, and then they had problems. And my older son had really serious problems with nighttime seizures and stuff. So I've had a long time of searching for this stuff. So yeah, I learned yesterday that, this horrible hindsight thing, if I'd known, he would have been up for dry fasting when he was 10, I know. He's got such a strong will. He did everything. Over 14 years, he did everything he was asked to do to try and get rid of, we didn't know what at that stage, we didn't know it was Lyme disease. But he would have done it, and his life would have been totally different. He wouldn't have had brain fog going through university, and he might have been employed by now. Even though he came out of Cambridge with a master's degree, it wasn't good enough to let him get on in life. Anyway, that's past. So the future, when I go home, I have to take my husband to task on his food. I don't feel like eating at the moment. I feel like drinking, of course, but I've always been somebody who's liked their food, and I've cooked a lot of meat, and now I just think I'm not going to be eating a lot of meat. I don't think I'm going to be much more on fish and salads and stuff, soup. And so I hope to pull my husband along with me. He drinks too much wine, and he's quite fit, but he doesn't drink water, etc., etc. And I think also I've been crazy busy the last 5 years thinking I can save the world. So I've been very active with the local council, against the local council. I've been active in marches and all this stuff, and I've taken it all on myself, which has been too much. So I'm going to learn to step back. Fasting, I think, has made me realize that, I'm not the strongest of people, and I'm not the youngest of people, and I need to find other people to help me out in saving the world. And so food is going to be a big thing, and stepping back from doing quite so much activism. So they're my first things, and also giving myself time to meditate and just become more spiritual. And, it's Good Friday today, a good reason to be fasting, but, it's Good Friday only in our pathetic Western church. And I have an Orthodox church 5 miles away, so I think I'm going to start going there because they're welcoming, they're strong, and that feels right to me. So those are my plans for the moment. It's day 8 of the retreat and day 9 of my dry fast. So the last day, it's just fantastic to be here. And obviously I'm really looking forward to getting a drink. So I woke up, about 3 or 4 hours sleep last night, and so listened to music for ages. I was quite hot. I haven't been out a lot today, though I think I'll go onto the beach this evening. And I'm just I feel really weak. The last couple of days I've walked quite a lot, but today, really no chance. I'm very tired. So we were talking about the question, is this for
hardcore people, or is it for beginners? Well, I would say you don't want to come on a retreat as a beginner. You need to do the preparation beforehand. And I was going to bring the book, but I think a really good book to read is Michelle Slater's book, Starving to Heal in Siberia. If you read that, it's really easy to read. You'll get an idea of whether you can do it or not. And I think most people can, if they prepare, if they really want to do it, if they have some health crisis that they need to resolve, that they need to heal from. So, for example, sorry, I'm going to crack up now. A friend of mine in Australia died the week before the retreat started. She went through 6 months of horrible treatment, which she must have known was not going to cure her. But, of course, in that horrible treatment, you can have a cup of tea, or they'll give you cake, of course, which feeds cancer, the sugar. But they make it bearable like that, I suppose. Whereas if you come on a dry fast, yes, you have to prepare. You don't want to be eating lots of meat and various other things you need to prepare with a vegan diet. And doing various spiritual practices, or beginning of spiritual practices, not, as Doctor Filonov says, spiritual dry fasting is in a cave, in the dark, in silence. That's beyond most of us, and that doesn't occur here. But thinking of the 6-month horrible cancer treatment, compared to 9 days fasting with the support that you get here, I wouldn't counsel anybody to do it at home. Because you have a community here, okay, we're all wandering around with tape on our mouths, if we're sensible, not like me. Going into oneself, you need to dig deep, and people are walking around just keeping hold of their energy and digging deep into their psyche to be able to resist the temptation of just a little bit of water or something like that. So you have to be prepared to put the work in. And then I think you can do it. I'm lucky I've had my son here he can be a bit of a policeman. And so if I show any I can't think of the word, but as if I might just go off, you know, like I have an ice pack, which I use a lot because I've been nauseous, and I also have very itchy bee stings, and sometimes I just put it to my mouth. Don't do that. Don't do that, mother, you'll spoil your fast. So that's good, but we all have support. We have wonderful therapists here, and people are getting more chatty as they exit the fast, and it's actually really nice community, partly of very quiet people doing their own thing, and the therapists and everybody who are a bit noisier. But it is, I suppose, I think most people would say it's hardcore. Some people find it easy. So if you're prepared and you want to get well, then it doesn't have to be super hardcore. Anybody can do it who has the determination and who really wants to get well, who is happy to embrace something which is maybe a bit alternative in this world of crazy allopathic medicine. but it's been going on for thousands of years. You know, back in the time of Hippocrates, the ancient Greeks, they were fasting. And it's only when people like Rockefeller came along and said, we don't want people to get well because we want to sell our pharmaceutical drugs, that the old ways were taken away. And I want to just say very quickly that I know I always seem very down on Big Pharma, but my father was a doctor, and he was a prisoner of war for 5 years. At the end of the war, Second World War, he got his hands on some antibiotics, and he said they were, well, penicillin. He said it was a miracle because he had very ill patients with gangrene and things, and he said he didn't have to watch people dying in front of him anymore. But he met Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin at a family wedding, and he would have talked to him. And he knew that you couldn't overuse them. You couldn't use them like sweets. And he remembered that all his working life. And in the 1960s, when the government did, I'm brain dead, did a survey to see how many antibiotics were being used, my father's surgery prescribed the least. And my father himself provided less than anybody in the country, prescribed less than anybody in the country. So he was a believer in the old ways. And that's what this is. And anyone can do it if they prepare, if they really want to do it, they can do it, and I recommend it wholeheartedly.
It's day 9 of the retreat, and it's the first day of my breaking the fast, which happened this morning. So I feel really, really tired, really tired. I've slept quite a bit today, which is great because, of course, you know, I was very excited about breaking the fast last night. Actually trudged up to a local spring to fill some water bottles. We just thought that would be nice, but it was quite a walk for me there and back, but we made it. So that was good. Waiting last night to break the fast. I think it's always the same when I've done short fasts. You know, you get everything ready. You've got the thermos all ready by the bed, and you know, all you need to do is go to sleep and wake up at 5 and have your thermos. So I think I went to sleep for a couple of hours, and then I woke up thinking, oh, must be time, and it was only 12 o'clock. So I still had 5 hours to wait. I couldn't believe it, and I kept sort of switching on my torch and thinking I must have got this wrong. Anyway, finally, 5 o'clock comes around, and then my thermos was too hot, so I had to get some cold water in it. But it was amazing because I had a mouth which was so dry. I had spoken too much during the fast.
And yeah, my mouth was just, I was just crazy, and all down my throat. It was just really, really, really dry. And so the first mouthfuls I took, I just had to swish around and spit out, and there was all sorts of yuck in there. And eventually I managed to actually get some water to drink, and carried on with that, and that was really fantastic. So yes, so the fact that I spoke too much during the dry fast, that was really stupid. And the dryness of my mouth, it didn't ever get any better because I'd used up all my saliva. And so that was pretty horrid. So yeah, less talking if possible during the dry fast. I would really recommend having an ice, a little ice. Oh God, I can't even get my words out. A little ice bag, which I found very refreshing, because my bee stings were fine, but they were very itchy. So I was using a lot of ice, and that was fantastic. It was really good to have. So Daniela just must have got really fed up with me. I was always, oh, ice, more ice. But it was really good to have that. It's probably not necessary for everyone, but I found that very good. And yeah, just remember that you're not going to feel immediately fantastic when you break the fast, because I hadn't slept properly for a few nights. Yeah, I would love to have thought that I could take this water and the compote, which is fantastic, that you can have at 12 o'clock. That's boiled fruit. We just had the liquid. I mentioned it to a Russian friend of mine at home. She says, compote, it's just so Russian. My mother used to make it. You'll love it. It'll be fantastic. And yeah, brilliant. You have to keep drinking water, of course, as well. But I'm tired. I'm very tired. But I think I'll sleep well tonight, and maybe tomorrow I'll be doing better, I hope. It's day 10 of the retreat, and I'm on day 2 of my exit. I feel just a bit, not tired, sleepy rather than tired. Today I slept a lot of hours last night, and often that, makes you more tired, ironically. And I'm still kind of wavering around a bit. I have to be careful walking around, but I do feel much better. And yeah, so where have I got to? Yeah, I had fish soup for lunch today, and it wasn't something I was particularly looking forward to, but I found it really quite strengthening. So I'm optimistic that I'll feel a lot better tomorrow, and maybe I'll be able to go for a final walk, even a dip in the sea, maybe not. I feel quite separated from home at the moment.
I think when so many of you are going through this dry fast, even if most people don't say anything, they don't even catch your eye necessarily, you know that we're all going through the same thing in slightly different ways, and it's so you do become a real community, I think. And it's wonderful to come into the restaurant in the morning, and people are chatting and eating, and their eyes are bright, and it's a very different feeling. That's really lovely. What else would I say? The staff have all been fantastic. We have Daniela, running the hotel, and she always knows exactly what food to give to which people, even though we've exited on different days. And so she doesn't put something in front of you that you're not meant to have, which is great. And the therapists have been brilliant, giving us these treatments, which no doubt are incredibly healing. Although sometimes when you're actually getting them, you're thinking, oh, this is a bit painful, but they're fabulous. And so Doctor Filonov is treating everybody, answering questions, which is fantastic. And we have Svetlana, who holds the whole thing together, really, with humour and grace, which is very helpful. And while I didn't come with, well, as far as I know, I haven't been here with terrible health problems. I'm really glad to have done this, because I'm hoping that it will really kick out the Lyme disease, and that I will be better going into old age. I don't want to be an old woman with gnarly hands, and my arthritis has gone from my hands. Hopefully it'll not come back in the polluted southeast of England. I'll have to find out about my food allergies by trial and error. And my thyroid, I gather I have to take, or I should take, powder of deer horns. I actually live in an area where we have masses of deer, so maybe I can, get something like that in England. And so I'm feeling very positive, and I just find it hard to believe that I have actually managed to do this fast, which I've been thinking about for about 3 years, and to have actually done it seems like a major achievement, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I'm very pleased that I managed to get here this year.